Get used to getting uncomfortable because that's what it's going to take if you really want to do this. All right. So talking about content ideation here, stop making excuses for yourself. It's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. I know the excuses. I've been there before myself. When it comes to, I've talked about like posting on social media and stuff. Sometimes we just have to get out of our own way. The thing is that the market doesn't care. The market does not care about your excuses, about your fears and phobias, about your lack of time. The market doesn't care, and your competitors are doing it and they're winning. So something to focus on here. I think this is a really, really important concept. I've talked about this before in the blueprint before in the past. Again, what I love about this program, really what I love about business and this agency business specifically, is that there's so many constants in this business, right? And this program is a little bit circular, if you will, in the fact that if you go into the first module of this program, we talk about pain points, we talk about fears, anxieties, to understand who you should be targeting from a client point of view. And then that also ties into the service and the offer that you provide, right? Because the goal of our service is to satisfy a customer acquisition-based pain point for a certain type of customer avatar. And that feeds all the way through your business, especially to marketing. And the focus of your content should be on solving those problems and pain points. A lot of people struggle at the starting blocks with everything, but especially content marketing. They just don't know how to take that first step. And the first step is just understanding what that problem is and understanding how to articulate that in terms of messaging and content. So there's a saying, sell the whole, not the shovel. It's way too much content, specifically advertising. It's like mind blowing. When I work with attorneys that the ads that they're running, it's just like me. Look at me. Agencies too, software companies too. Like, look at all of our features. Look at what we like. We don't care. We do not care. People do not care about you. It's a very harsh truth. People care about themselves, right? So everything in marketing should be about you, not me. It's like a quick topical audit. I do some copy auditing inside of the inner circle. When you're writing copy, if you're using the word me or I, it's already wrong. It should be you. It's always written towards you, right? And that's how we want to frame everything. It's about you. It's about the problems you're having, the fears, the anxieties that you're having. In this concept of selling the whole, not the shovel, is all about talking about the pain points, not the tool or the solution that you provide, right? Don't make commercials. How many people here love watching commercials? I'm a big football fan, and I actually will usually wait until halftime of the game so I can fast forward through commercials, because I cannot stand watching commercials. It completely ruins the experience, in my opinion, right? Nobody likes them, unless it's a Super Bowl, and I still think you're a little bit full of it if you like sit down and watch all the commercials of the Super Bowl. It's too much, right? And it's because we don't care about you. We care about ourselves. We care about what we're there to watch. And in your marketing and your messaging, it should always be focused on their problem. The whole is the problem, right? And the shovel is the tool, aka our service. So if you find yourself again talking about me and what we do and all the features of our service, you're going down the wrong path. So it's something that should always reframe everything that you're doing at the very highest level. It's something that I look for again when I'm auditing, when I'm scrolling through my feeds, and when I'm building my own content. I always make sure that it's about you, aka the person that I want to reach. Again, I know you've all seen it because you're all here because of our advertising and marketing at the Blueprint. It's always written to you. It's always written to your pain points. I know them intimately because I live and breathe them, and I've lived them and breathed them from where all you are and so up the ladder. So I know them intimately. The challenging part, again, can be when you're working with an industry that you're maybe not familiar with because you don't work in that industry. You're just trying to service them. Again, lawyers. It can take some time to really understand what that is, but we've kind of talked about that. We'll talk more about how we can dig into that type of stuff. But again, it's a very powerful framing concept. Whole, not the shovel. Again, always talk about you, never talk about me and we. Let's dive into the thick of it here. Let's talk about coming up with content topic ideas. It should always be about solving problems related to customer acquisition. All of your content topics should relate back to that. Of course, you can get a little bit tangential. And we were talking about how I had renovated my home before in the past. And I went through 3 contractors. 3 of them, because every single one of them are kind of the same. If there's any contractors in here, family members, I apologize, but they're not fun people to work with. And it's because, for the most part, they don't really have problems getting clients or leads. It's not too hard. People are always building homes, are always renovating them. They had plenty of work. What they really struggled with was communication, customer service, project management. It is non-existent in those businesses, right? So when we're talking about tangential topics that might not be directly related to customer acquisition, but support what you need to do for that client, that can be on the docket as well. So for us in law firms, intake is essentially sales, for law firms. It's not call answering, it's the person that you talk to when they're going through the questionnaire, kind of like an onboarding or discovery process for if you have a case, if you have the budget, etc. So we found that we had a client, we drove 200 phone calls in he's in like Waterbury, Connecticut, personal injury law firm, 200 phone calls a month. And he fired us because he didn't close any cases. Why? Because he didn't pick up the phone. Because he was letting all the leads go to his email, and this guy never checked his email. He was always in court, and he was like, it's not working, I'm not getting clients. I'm like, because you don't pick up the phone, dude. Like, of course it doesn't work, right? So I've realized, again, going through this process and understanding what are the other tangential problems that relate to customer acquisition, these are things that we can also talk about that are within scope, because now we've been forced to build intake systems. I have a really beautiful flow chart that I coach some of our clients on about their intake process. Like, this is what happens when you pick up the phone. This is how you do follow-ups, this and that type of stuff, right? So that also helps us stand out in the market, because very few other agencies that we're competing with offer that level of support or have that level of knowledge even, right? And again, it doesn't take any really additional deliverable for me to put together a flow chart. And then I basically set a call with them within the first 60 days. And I'm like, look, we're going to talk to your call answering team, your intake team, and your attorneys, and we're going to go through this flow chart together. And it's a huge value boost, right? And it doesn't cost me anything else. It took me 4 hours to put it together. And again, it allows me to go to the front end. If you see some of our videos that we have on our YouTube channel, I talk about that process. And we actually run it as a VSL. It does quite well for us as well. So again, I talked about the offer design stuff. Again, if you guys haven't gone through the offer design module, it's the first thing inside the program. Watch it every year. It's really, really impactful stuff. You know, it's the core foundation of what any service business should be. It's really understanding how to build your service and offer based on those pain points. But again, these are the seeds that you use to begin the research process. So there's 5 different kind of like topic buckets that you can follow here. Notice I'm not going to like Ahrefs or keyword research tools here, right? The reason is because I don't like to lead with that stuff, because so much of these topics are topical, right? They're not necessarily searched for. And we'll kind of go through what I mean by that a little bit more. But when we look at the nuances between platforms, social versus search, we need to frame and format our content a little bit differently, because again, search is for stuff that we know people are searching for, versus social is we kind of need to get out ahead of it. And we kind of need to entice people a little bit more. We need to kind of clickbait them, if you will, engagement bait them a little bit. So we need to understand topics that are rooted much more, again, in pain points, fears, anxieties, and problems, less about like, hey, I found it in SEMrush, so it must be a good topic. Not that that's not a good topic, because that data does support the fact that people care about it in a sense, but we want to be able to use both and leverage both. So number 1, how to solve your target client's problem. So for us as agency, I have videos about lead generation, right? Like, what's the best way to generate leads for your law firm right now? You should have a video about that. Like, that's your core video. This can become your core VSL. This can you can slap on your website, a core blog post on the website, but you definitely need a piece of content around this. Off of this too, what's going to happen is you're going to identify sub-problems, right? So if we say that lead generation is the main problem, or more specifically, qualified phone calls are the main problem that law firms struggle with, what are the sub-problems that map to that? And I'm going to show you from the offer design stuff how we can literally map out these sub-pillars. But again, things like LSAs, things like local SEO, things like review generation, things like content marketing, things like digital PR and link building. All these things become sub-problems that we can then drill into for more content. So it starts again at the top, the biggest problem, and then we trickle down. This ensures that we're always able to relate back to what the main problem is, and we're always staying on topic for what we're doing. So useful templates to solve problems too. Blueprint has crushed it with this for whatever reason. Marketers go crazy for templates. You guys love them. Data Studio templates, spreadsheets. I don't know what it is. Y'all love them though. We get like $1 opt-in off of Facebook whenever we run some sort of template offer. So templates can be very helpful. You just have to, again, be very mindful of the template that you're going to create for your target audience. What I mean by that is that most of you are not going to be working with marketers. If you're working with home services or lawyers, most of these people don't want to do it themselves. So if you give them like a keyword research template, it's probably not going to be very valuable to them, right? You're probably just going to get marketers. So something that, again, that we've done is we've said, okay, instead of giving away more of our service templates, we're looking at more of like the onboarding the intake process templates, intake questionnaires. We know that that is something that a lawyer would be interested in, specifically a lawyer, not so much a marketer or somebody else that just wants to steal what we're doing. Client case studies, how we helped X do Y, how we helped Jamie Casino Law get 400 more phone calls this month. These tend to do very well. I do have a note about this because I get asked a lot about, hey, I'm going into a new vertical. I don't have any case studies. I don't have any testimonials. how can I sell anything here? I almost want to remove this from here because in my opinion, case studies are probably the most overrated marketing asset on the planet. Everyone thinks that you need like, I don't know, some people say it all the time. I don't know if Neil Patel or something talked about it, but you need like 3 case studies in order to go into a vertical and have success. Roughly working with lawyers for 2 years, I sent probably like 300 proposals. I have never not one time been asked for a case study. I've never not one time been asked for a reference. I've never not one time been asked for other lawyers that we've done this for. They're not really on our website either. I just put up a results page in the past 4 months because if you know what their problem is, if you address their problem, if you put together a proper analysis and a proper solution and pitch for them, they're not going to ask because they know that you can solve the problem. The whole point of a case study is for what? It's social proof. It's to answer the question, can you solve my problem? So if you take care of that problem by doing a good analysis and doing a good pitch, they're not going to ask you for it. And these also don't really attract as many people as you'd think, unless it's a big name brand. Like if I worked with Morgan & Morgan, like, yeah, of course, I would have a Morgan & Morgan case study tattooed across my forehead. But we don't. We work with mostly law firms that nobody knows who they are, unless you're in that local market. So it doesn't really hold any weight, right? It's the same thing with you guys. If I put together a bunch of case studies from like agencies that have helped grown here, how much would it really impact you, right? Versus if you just watched the video and you saw the back end of our program and you saw some information that you were like, damn, this is actually pretty good, right? It's the point is that you don't need it. But that being said, it is still a pretty good piece of content if you can do something with it, especially if you know how to build a good case study. Next up is high level, interesting roundups. These are at the very top of the funnel, right? And this is kind of like after you've gone through this, 5 CRMs that all lawyers should consider, something like that. Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these 2 videos right here on the screen.